The other aspect of Australian involvement, beyond the Australian government and the aid program, is that there is a great deal of trekking and tourism. There are currently about 36 tour operators that are registered with, and here's an acronym for you, the KTA, the Kokoda Track Authority. And the Kokoda Track Authority is a quasi-government entity in PNG that exists to manage tourist activity along the Kokoda Track. The majority of the trekking and tour operators are Australian owned and operated. There are some local ones. In 2012, which is the most recent information I could get, there was a study done on the economic significance of trekking and tourism, and they calculated the total economic value in 2011, which was not at the peak, that was at about half of the peak, at about 15 million Australian dollars. You will note then that the next point there is that the direct expenditure accruing to villages on the track was about $1.8 million. And that is because much of that $15 million, roughly a third, is airfares. Of the rest, about half stays in Australia, and about half is spent in PNG. From the perspective of the Australian government, and the trekking companies, they would be quite happy if you preserved the environment as it is right now, and never, harmed a flower or a blade of grass or anything, because that works for trekking companies. The more pristine the environment, the better. And from the perspective of many of them that engage from the war history, it's a memorial. So it's a place that has, deep meaning, and they would like to see it preserved as is. That does come into tension with local communities who see the natural resources as a way to make a living. If you're not successfully making a great living out of the tourism side, what is the incentive to conserve? When in fact maybe you could make a living out of cutting things down and selling them. That's an aspect where you could have tension between external parties and local communities, but tension within local communities where different people are benefiting in different ways from those resources. Most of the communities, as I said, are quite traditional. Almost all of them are Christian. So in some cases you have a scenario where Christian or tribal elders are unhappy with the influence on young people of meeting with tourists who might take a different approach culturally to things. Particular example would be, in some communities, keeping of Sabbath, which is a rest day for Christian traditions, but trekking companies want to keep working, so porters are having to make a decision. Do I follow the religious tradition I have, or do I work on that day?